Hey guys, so I had a friend of mine a number of years back kind of raise an issue to me one time, and he said that I was too strict, I guess too by the book maybe was kind of a nice way to say it, in my faith, as opposed to the way that I teach jiu-jitsu. And one of the things that he had said was that basically if I taught jiu-jitsu, or if I taught the Bible the way that I teach jiu-jitsu, that it would be more readily received. And it, for a number of years, I began to kind of ponder that thought. I mean, I did this for a while, and I began to kind of ponder what it was that he was telling me, and I began to ask myself, what is it that I do in jiu-jitsu that I'm not doing when I teach the Bible? And ultimately, after trying to make peace with the world, so to speak, what I came to is the fact that he was wrong, actually. This guy who told me this, he was not a Christian. And the idea is that when I teach the Bible, I teach it as it is. I don't pull any punches. I try to be as kind about the presentation of it, but ultimately what it is I'm just reading what it says. I don't get to make this stuff up. I'm not the author of the book, so it is what it is. And to be honest with you, anybody who's trained with me in jiu-jitsu knows that I'm the exact same way. If you ask me a question about jiu-jitsu and you're like, hey, man, what am I doing wrong here? I'm going to be very blunt and to the point and tell you, yeah, dude, I mean, you're not even trying the technique. You're not even applying it. All you're doing is going in there and you're muscling, or you're trying to explode, or you're trying to be more athletic, or whatever. You're not even trying to learn the technique. I'm very blunt and to the point in both instances. It's just, it's my nature. It's who I am. And last night, as I was sitting there reading, I came across a passage, and I've read the Bible through numerous times, but if you've done any kind of Bible reading and stuff, you know how certain things will begin to kind of take application, and all of a sudden you start reading something, and you may have read it 100 times before, but now all of a sudden you read it again, and it just makes that much more sense, or it just jumps out at you. As I was reading this last night, it really began to kind of speak to me about what it was that he had said, and the differences in it. So I'll just go ahead and read the passage. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 2, and it's verses 14 through 16. And it says, "But thanks be to God, who in Christ always leads us in a triumphal procession, and through us spreads the fragrance of the knowledge of Him everywhere." So remember that fragrance, remember that smell. All right, spreads the fragrance of the knowledge of Him everywhere. For we are the aroma of Christ to God, among those who are being saved, and among those who are perishing. To one a fragrance from death to death, and to other a fragrance from life to life. And what really kind of jumped out at me here is that Paul is saying that we are that fragrance of Christ. We remind God of Christ. And that's a constant. That's who we are. That's who we become when we're born again. But I want you to see here the difference between how it's received. That to those people who are being saved, it's life. That smell is a sweet smell. It's something that we have kinship and bond with and stuff. But to those who are perishing, it's offensive. I want you to see that who you are in Christ is not determined by how the world perceives you. To those who are perishing, according to this passage, to those who are perishing, you will not be received well. You will be received as offensive, and you will be told, tone it down, make it more palatable, do this and that. If they're your friend. If they're not your friend, they'll just tell you to shut up, and so on and so forth. They don't want to hear it, is the point. If if the individual is another Christian, brother or sister, then the message is typically received well. But it has nothing to do in either case with who you are or the message itself. It's not something that you can tame or make more palatable. It's something that is just a constant. It's the message is the message. How the individual receives it is entirely dependent on their heart, not yours. So I wanted to kind of present this to you because this was something that plagued me for a while, is that we kind of have this picture of Jesus, and everybody loves him and this and that, but if you read the Bible, they didn't. The vast majority of people did not like him, did not appreciate him, did not appreciate his message. And the same is still true today. When John talks about, when John talks about Jesus coming, it talks about he came with truth and grace. Truth without grace is just plain offensive, and that's not what we're to do. But grace without truth is just pandering, and that's not what we're to do either. It has to be both, and neither one can be sacrificed for the sake of the other, or else you end up just destroying the message. So I wanted to kind of present this today. You go out there, you be you, you be a Christian, you represent Christ, you remind the world who Christ is, and then you let the chips fall where they may, and you let God be God, and God will do a work in their hearts, or he won't, but that won't be dependent on you. So anyway, God bless.